Yeah, I was disappointed, but then I just thought, wow, this is giving you more exposure, and they must be doing it because you're hitting a nerve, and they realize that the public is reacting.
Yeah.
And it was extremely popular, this series. I heard from people all around the world that were watching it, that sent me messages. And again, we've also been the subject of criticism in the past, and it usually means because you are resonating with an audience that they don't want that message to get to.
Very much so. They definitely, they want their narrative to be the only narrative, and they don't want any competing narratives. If there are competing narratives, they want them to be so ridiculous that they don't need to be addressed. But if there's a serious competing narrative, then they feel very threatened by it. And I've now seen it in the past month, the lows that they will stoop to, the dirty tricks that they will play in order to try and re-establish their narrative as the dominant narrative and the only narrative worth listening to, and to discourage people from watching my show. That's very much also been the purpose. And this is not how things should operate in a free society. If they're so confident of their own position, they should be relaxed about an alternative voice being out there. If they're sure that they're right, then, and if indeed they are right, they will be proven right in due course. Why be so insecure about their own position that they actually want to suppress alternative voices and to frame them in such a way that people will not listen to those alternative voices? This isn't archaeology, this is propaganda.
You mentioned a free society, Graham, and it's something we always spoke about when you were on the show, was that we should have sovereignty over our own bodies.
Yes.
And it's something you've always talked, even about the psychedelic experience, of a way of us experience something without some type of censor or without some type of filter, and getting the information from source or exploring it on our own. And it's been something I've always admired about you, that you were able to do all of your research and put these ideas out there, and also write these incredible books of fiction that went into the plant medicine experience. And now I kind of see that it's all related, because you believe that sovereignty over your own body and the freedom of speech and the right to the truth, it's all part of the same thing.
It's all part of the same thing. There are forces in our society that seek to minimize human potential and to turn us into just producers and consumers who never question the mainstream narrative. They don't want us asking questions. And this is one of the reasons that psychedelics have been so demonized, because psychedelics do lead people to ask questions about the very nature of reality, and about the nature of the society that we live in, and about the nature of our own behavior as well. Psychedelics are one of the most important things that psychedelics do, is allow a reset of the mind, where you start to see things in a different way. It's clear that the powers that be in our society don't want that to happen. And it's quite interesting that I've had a lot of experience with psychedelics. I wrote a book where it was fundamental and essential for me to take psychedelics in order to write that book. It was called Supernatural: Meetings with the Ancient Teachers of Mankind. I think that these are extraordinary and remarkable medicines. I believe strongly that adults should be free to make sovereign decisions about their own bodies and about their own health and about their own consciousness, so long as they do no harm to others. I don't think the state should have any right to intervene and say, no, you can't take this particular medicine, which grows naturally on Earth, but you can take this one, which Big Pharma makes. This is a huge intrusion on personal freedom. And we're seeing exactly the same thing in all the narratives that are at work in our society today. They're all designed to shut us down and to stop us thinking and just be obedient, tame producers and consumers who accept the mainstream position, whatever it is. And because I've been a contrarian for so many years, I inevitably end up taking quite a bit of the flack on this. It's interesting, actually, that another lazy way that archaeologists dismiss my work, one is to call me a pseudo-archaeologist. The latest one is to say that my work supports racism and white supremacy, which it absolutely does not. And then the final way is to say, oh, and Hancock takes drugs. So he takes psychedelics, so you can be sure that everything he's saying is rubbish. They're repeating that old trope. Science has caught up with psychedelics now. We're getting major scientific research which is showing what incredible medicines these are. People with post-traumatic stress disorder cured in a few full-on sessions of psilocybin. People with deeply entrenched depression who just can't get out of the hole have life-changing experiences with psilocybin under medical supervision, which get rid of the depression virtually overnight. No need for years of expensive talking therapy. No need for Siroxat or Prozac or any of these big pharma drugs. Nature has provided us with the solution, and at last, thank goodness, science is beginning to catch up with that. So when archaeology tries to say, oh, don't take Hancock seriously because he takes psychedelics, they're even behind the time with science. Science is recognizing how amazing these medicines are, and archaeologists haven't caught up with that yet. But it's any dirty trick, any way that you can smear an opponent and make their work appear less valuable, that's what archaeologists are resorting to at the moment. And I just hope that the public see through that and understand that a game is being played by archaeologists here, and that game is designed to keep their narrative on top of every other narrative about the past.
It seems just there is a theme here of trying to hold the status quo
Very
in
much
so many aspects of our society.
Yeah.
I guess because there are people that they would prefer it that way to keep their livelihood or their lifestyles or their control, their power structures.
Yeah.
But it's just fascinating, to see it in so many different ways, from archaeology to psychedelics.
Yes, it's right across society. We live in a society that is very subtly and very cleverly built around mind control. There's no doubt about it, and that infects every aspect of society. It's in every area of society, and primarily it's designed to keep the population passive, to keep us producing and consuming, and not to cause any disruption, just to keep things moving smoothly. Obviously, that's in the interests of certain small groups of people, that it should be that way. A passive, supine, unquestioning public is very, very useful. But what the human race needs is an active, awake, questioning public who questions everything all the time. That's what's needed. We need more questions, not less questions. We need more competing narratives, not less competing narratives. And that's why I'm very disappointed in archaeology, in the way it's reacted to this, and in journalism, in the way that it's just taken on board what the archaeologists say without asking any questions at all.
Hey, it's Brian Rose, founder of the DeFi Academy. I've told you my 4-week crypto bootcamp is amazing, but don't take my word for it. This is what my students are saying.
The DeFi Academy was an amazing experience for me. It took me totally out of my comfort zone.
In this course, I was challenged, I was held accountable, and pushed to do things that honestly weren't always easy.
It's been phenomenal, and I can't believe we're already up on our 4 weeks. It has flown by.
Going through this DeFi accelerator by far was one of the best courses I've taken.
You do this course, you really get into the nitty-gritty of the activities that will make you comfortable with decentralized finance.
Thank you so much to Brian and everyone at London Real and the DeFi Academy for even putting together an amazing course like this.
Anybody else that wants to do it, please sign up. It is well worth the money.